guys, this is Brandi D, and you know I got some.
Hi, Brandi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I appreciate you taking the time out for the interview.
No problem. I'm happy to talk to you guys.
Thank you. I want to first off start out, Blaque released their debut album in '99. It had two huge hits, Bring It All to Me and 808. What do you remember most about creating that first album?
Well, first of all, creating the first album was a great experience. Creating the first album was great because we were able to have a lot of creative control. Columbia really believed in us from the beginning. So, with us having Lisa walking us kind of hand in hand, I guess they kind of trusted her vision and, the music that we wanted to create. They kind of allowed us to just go for it. So that would be like the best part to me, that they allowed us to kind of really be all that we wanted to be. And I think that we did a good job debuting that in our first album.
Definitely. One of my personal favorites off that album is Rainbow Drive, and I know, I know all three members had a hand in writing that song, so give me some background on that song and how it came about.
Well, Rainbow Drive is very personal because not only was it the three of us, but it was also my dad and Hope, who actually is a family member of mine, but she also is part management to my solo career now. The five of us were just riding down the street. It's a street here in Atlanta called Rainbow Drive. And my dad always comes up with these jingles and songs to everything. It could be a street name. It could be a drink or whatever. He's always making up a song that's up there. So we're driving. All of us are in the car, and we're driving down the street, Rainbow Drive. And he started singing, "Let's get to Rainbow Drive." And the song came from there. Literally. Like just driving down the street on Rainbow Drive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Of course, we know after the release of the debut album, the group started working on Blackout, which unfortunately did not get a proper release. Why do you think the album never got a chance to come out?
Well, it's a tragic story, but it's a tragic story to me because Blackout was a great album. I mean, we had done our first album, we toured all over the world, great response, but Blackout was the album that, to me, it was our crazy, sexy, cool. It was, we were older, we, kind of came out of the kiddie stage, we were grown women, we were coming from a different place, we were a little more sexier. It just, like I said, it was like a coming out party for Blaque. And I hate that it didn't get released because I know that album would have took it to the next level. And not only just the songs, but the energy behind it, because we were such a unified group at that point in our careers. I mean, we put that album together, just the three of us. I mean, we stayed up nights listening to songs, talking about concepts, flying here and there, meeting with different producers. I mean, we really put our own sweat, blood, and tears into that album, and I just hate that it didn't come out and make the big bang that we were anticipating it to do. I mean, a lot of internal group stuff happened. I mean, Lisa passing, and then, Natina had a child, so of course that was her first priority, and, things kind of happened within the group that kind of made the project secondary, but the album itself was a great album, and I just hate that the world didn't really get to experience what we were planning to give them.
Yeah, and even with that, the song Questions, it seems like a lot of people love that song. I mean, I see it on YouTube and every other website, all the time. Are you kind of surprised by, the love for that song? Because, I mean, the album was released, I think, a couple years back. It was a secondary release, but that song didn't even end up on that version. So are you kind of surprised?
I'm surprised that out of all of the songs, Questions was a song that people gravitated to. I mean, I loved it from the beginning. It was another song that the three of us had a hand in writing. And you just never know what the public's going to love. I mean, you have your favorites, and you think, like, oh, this is the one. Until you kind of never really know what the public is going to love. So I was a little surprised that they picked Questions out of, other songs that I would have thought would be, they're going to love this one. But it's still a good song, and it's a timeless record. I think 20 years from now, you can still hear it. It's still relevant. It's still, it's about love, so it's something that is frequently talked about all the time. That's going to be talked about, until the end of time. And so I think that, it's a great record. But I was a little surprised because everybody has their favorites. I wouldn't say that Questions was not one of my favorites, but you just never know what's going to go. You just never know what the public is going to gravitate to. And if they loved it, I'm glad.
Yep. The group went on to record the third album, Torch. After coming from an album that didn't get a release, what was the approach with Torch?
Well, Torch was another album. That was when we moved over from Columbia to Elektra. Torch was an album that I don't feel we had enough creative control in. It was kind of what Elektra kind of saw Blaque to be. Not saying that it was a bad thing. I just know that we felt like we didn't have as much control in picking the songs and putting the project together as we would like. But it was still a decent album. It, had great songs in it from I'm Good and, Ugly, those songs. And we did a lot of records with Missy. So, it was a good album. I just don't think it was in my opinion, our best. But I think it was a good album still.
Okay. Of course, that album didn't get a chance to come out as well, so you guys had 2 straight albums that didn't get a proper release. Was there kind of a loss of hope after that?
I wouldn't say a loss of hope because, things happen, and that album had a lot to do with the change in Elektra from Sylvia leaving, going to Universal Motown. Natina deciding that she didn't want to do secular music anymore at the time. She kind of wanted to go into the gospel realm. And so it was a little transition personally and professionally that kind of set back that project. But we did get a good record off of it, which was I'm Good for the Honey soundtrack. So it wasn't a complete loss, but the album itself wasn't able to have a proper release. So I don't look at it like it was a complete loss or waste because we got I'm Good out. It did well. It did well for the movie. So it was, it is what it is.
Okay. A question that I know you probably get frequently, and, when I announced that I was going to be interviewing you, a lot of the Blaque fans wanted to know, are they ever going to be able to hear that Torch album, in its entirety?
I would hope so. I know our fans are so loyal, and I'm so thankful for them. And I would love to be able to give them something from Blaque, whether it's an album, a tour, a single, something, because I know that they're just like waiting and hoping. And that is definitely one of my goals, to be able to do something to give something to the fans. And, I can't put a time on it because, I'm only 1/3 of the group, so I don't know when we will be able to do it, but I would love to be able to give them something. So it's a hope and prayer of mine, just like it's a hope and prayer of the fans, that we can be able to give the fans something.
Okay.